Hi everyone, the small engine mechanic here. Today we are going to be servicing a Bobcat walk-behind mower. So, let's get started. While the engine is cold, we are going to place some oil-absorbent pads down. Let's remove the valve covers off both sides. Gotta make sure we don't make a mess. Sometimes you can use the valve cover as a bowl to catch the oil. Now, let's remove both spark plugs. Pop the guard cover clips up so it can be removed. Now we can rotate the engine to set up for adjusting the valves. So, we need to rotate the engine until the intake valve goes and then comes back out. Then insert a screwdriver into the spark plug hole, and continue to rotate the engine till the screwdriver is pushed out as far as it will go. Now this cylinder is at the top dead center and ready to check or adjust the valve clearance. So, we're going to use a 5/1000 feeler gauge to check the gap. The intake valve is too tight. The exhaust valve is too tight too. To adjust the valves, we need to use a 10 mm wrench and loosen the silver locking nut on both valves. Now rotate the cam bolt backward till the feeler gauge fits between the rocker and the valve. Then slowly rotate the bolt until resistance is felt on the feeler gauge. Then tighten the nut back up. This is a little loose, so I will adjust it some more. And we'll repeat the same process on the exhaust valve. There should be enough resistance that you can feel it, but not too much where you can't move the feeler gauge. It might take a couple of times to do this to get it right. On the opposite side of the engine, we will need to rotate it till the intake goes in and comes back out. Insert the screwdriver. Continue to rotate until the screwdriver cannot move any further out. The intake is too loose. And the exhaust is too tight. On this side, the silver locking nut is on the bottom of the rocker arms. So, loosen it up. Rotate the cam bolt till it is loose. Then slowly adjust the bolt until we feel resistance. And lock it down. I'm having a friend try it out. It is his first time and doing very well. Once the valves are done, we can install new valve cover gaskets part number 11061-1285. Hand thread all the cover bolts. To save time I will speed this up. And we're going to do the same on this side also. Now time to tighten them. Now we can replace the air filter. These are held by a clamp. This filter is missing the pre-filter. We're going to be installing the air filter part number 11013-0752. And the pre-filter part number 11013-7046. And tighten the clamp. Replace the filter cover. Now we will replace the fuel filter. These filters have a direction of flow from the tank to the fuel pump. So, shut off the fuel supply. If it doesn't have a cutoff, then you can pinch the hose with a pair of vice grips. So, let's remove the two hose clamps. And work the filter from the hoses. Make sure you are wearing gloves for this. Install the new filter and the clamps. And open the fuel supply valve. We will be installing two NGK BPR4ES spark plugs. Always start these by hand. Tighten it down and reinstall the plug wire. Then repeat the same steps on the other side. Before we start the engine, we need to make sure it has enough oil. On Kawasaki engines, you do not thread the dipstick when checking the level. It's half full, which is enough to warm the engine for the oil change. So we're going to start the engine and let it run for about 5 minutes. Now that the engine is warm, we can change the oil and filter. I am using a vacuum pump to extract the oil. If you do not have a pump, you can remove this plug to drain the oil. Now that it's empty, now we can change the filter. Put an oil absorbent pad down. And a small tray to catch any oil. The filter should only be hand tight, so you should be able to remove it by hand. We will now install a Kawasaki oil filter part number 49065-0724. Add some clean oil to the rubber seal to make it easier to remove next time. Then install the filter and only tighten it hand tight. We're going to be filling the engine with 2 quarts of Kawasaki 10W30 motor oil. If you check it now, it will show over full. So, we need to start the engine for about 30 seconds for the oil to fill the filter. Now if we check the level. It is just shy of the full mark. So we will add a little bit more. And now it's full. We can reinstall the cover guard. And remove the deck cover. There should never be grass left under here. The grass can retain water and cause the deck to rust and rot away. So we will blow this away. And you can see that it's damaging the deck. This is the grease fitting for the belt tensioner. This needs to stay clean too. To test the bushings, try to lift up on the pulley. If the entire arm moves a lot, then the bushing needs to be replaced. So, let's grease this up. As well as both caster forks and wheel bearing if equipped. There are 2 hidden fittings that need to be greased. One on each side. Inspect the belts for cracking, splitting, or dry rot. Inspect the pump drive belt for the same issues. Visually check the pumps for leaks. The one on the left is apparently leaking and collecting dirt, while the right one is clean. If yours is leaking, let a shop check it out. The shiny area is where it is most likely leaking from. Using a 15/16 socket, I'm going to remove the blades to sharpen and balance them. Most mowers use spacers on the blades. Remember how many were on top of the blade. And the other side. Now, they've been sharpened and balanced. Time to reinstall them. Inspect the rest of the machine. This parking brake will need to be repaired. Looks like the bushing has worn out. I will need to see if the owner wants it fixed. So, let's start it up and make sure everything works. Engine starts. Blades spin. Well, it looks like it's that time to say it.
It looks like another one is good to go.